Back in 2014, a virus was discovered that today is commonly referred to as Carbanak. According to some estimates, it robbed financial institutions of approximately $1 billion. To understand the command and control aspect of Carbanak, I'd like to go back to 2007 to 2009 when the Zeus virus was targeting organizations and individuals. Zeus also communicated to their command and control systems using HTTP, but it was communicating to their systems, their servers. Carbanak, in order for it to be harder for an organization to detect, used a command and control setup that relied, according to some reports, on Google. In other words, they were using Google services in order to communicate with infected machines and to get information back. Now, I do need to point this out right now. Today you will see this command and control setup that doesn't just rely on Google, it relies on Twitter and Google. But to think that these are security vulnerabilities in Twitter and Google is to think that there is a security vulnerability in Notepad because some hacker is putting stolen credit card information in a Notepad file. These are not security vulnerabilities in any website. These are simply sites that are operating the way they should. They provide whatever services they do, but attackers exploit them. The job of security professionals is to be aware of these things, and when you monitor your traffic or when you build various software in order to detect patterns, to have the knowledge of this style of command and control system so you can better protect yourself and your clients. Over the past few months, when I had conversations related to Carbanak's command and control setup, I've noticed that some people that weren't that familiar with command and control didn't really understand what I was saying. So I've created some software that makes it easy for you to follow along and see exactly what is happening. I'm going to start by showing you two websites. The first one is a Twitter webpage. And if you look at this page, there is really nothing suspect of it. I mean, it could have been a page with followers and tweets and so on. But if you look at it, there's nothing suspect, and there really nothing is. It says born in Chicago here, and that's about it. There's nothing, no more information. I want you to note the words born in Chicago. The second website I'm going to show you is a Google's Forms page. And this is a page that's going to collect data. In other words, hackers would use something like this in order to collect data. And like I said, this isn't a security vulnerability in Google. This is simply them taking advantage of a great service that Google offers, which is Google Forms for businesses or individuals. Our first program is a monitoring program that would exist in the system of the victim, of the institution, the employee over there. And of course, it wouldn't have this interface. It would just run in the background. And the second is the command and control, and this is something that the attacker would use in order to control what they would like to happen on the victim system. What we're going to start off with is when we click this bird, as you can see, it gets the data that is located on that Twitter site, born in Chicago. And it says here, no instructions found. In other words, when that Twitter webpage contains the words born in Chicago, don't do anything. This continues to monitor that Twitter page. In real life, most probably it would monitor it every few hours, but for this demo, it's monitoring it, of course, a lot more often. So now let's see what happens if we change it to born in New York. So it's going to go ahead and change that Twitter page. And the system detected that there was a change, and of course, there's still no instructions found. Before we continue, let me show you that this Twitter page has been updated to born in New York. Now this is not eventful. This just makes it easy for the attacker to go ahead and make changes. It's really very basic. Now let's see what happens if a command is sent that involves downloading a virus and executing it. I want you to take a look at this folder. And now the attacker would click this button, which in turn updates the Twitter page with data that tells it to go and download and execute a virus. Just note this folder. It's updated to born in CA. It downloaded that file and it automatically executed the file, which is a screen recorder, by the way, in the background, and we can go ahead and close it. Okay. Now, how does the attacker know that it was executed successfully? As you can see in this Google form page, it updated with the date and time and the message screen recorder installed and running. I'm going to go ahead and delete this for now. For those curious, a screen recorder was one of the components of the Carbanak virus. They would actually record what the bank employee was doing on the machine so they can easily copy it. Next, I will demonstrate a keylogger activation using the same method. Carbanak used keyloggers in order to monitor the keystrokes and other activity that the bank employees would use on their machine. This keylogger here is only going to run for 30 seconds, and it doesn't create any files on the victim's machine. It stores things in memory and keeps sending them out. But I'll start by showing you that our Google Forms page is empty. It has nothing here, and we're going to go ahead and activate the keylogger now. It says born in Texas. So if we go to a bank site, I enter my password for the password. Maybe go to a notepad file. All right, test. If I go to my Google Forms page, you can see it recorded that I was on the page first of the Twitter page, and then I was at the bank website and entered my password. Now, of course, the attacker would have to look at this data and understand what data belongs where, what's a username, what's a password. And it showed I opened a demo file. It then contains here what I wrote because of the nature of how it sends out the data. And then it shows the active program on my desktop was right here, ITinvestigator.com demo. So what are the lessons here? The first lesson is when you're analyzing traffic, not to simply throw away things that are familiar to you. For example, Google, Twitter, other popular websites. There are many sites that can be used for this. I know at least 30 sites that can be used for this type of setup, collecting data, sites that for most organizations it wouldn't raise any suspicions. The other thing I want to point out is one of the most popular pieces of advice for organizations that are trying to see if there are any machines sending out data is to have a specific system or machine stop browsing the web and then monitor it. Well, as early as 2009, the majority of the advanced programs will not communicate to their command and control systems if they don't identify traffic. So although that's still a good technique, but be aware that that is not the only technique. You have to realize how to really analyze what happens. The final tip is, when you discover an infection like this, have an expert look at the file. Don't just delete it. Because if you delete it, you're deleting crucial evidence. Today, with pretty much the majority of debuggers, you can actually analyze what the traffic was sending, even though it was sending it over SSL. So don't be so quick to delete it. Have an expert look at it, have someone that can understand it, and gather as much information as possible. In future videos, I'll demonstrate more of the latest advanced techniques that criminal hackers use that are so deceptive even organizations with a pretty good setup, even individuals that are very well aware of various security threats get caught up in. So I hope you enjoyed this video and have a wonderful day.